Welcome to the Spoonful Show. I'm Rachel, and this is a space for real conversations about chronic illness, hope, and learning to keep going even on the hardest days. Because strength doesn't always look loud. Sometimes it's simply taking life one spoon at a time. Welcome back to the Spoonful Show. So happy to have you here with me today. And joining me today is my co-host, Tina. How are you doing today?
I am doing great. Happy to be back on here today.
Yes. Happy to have you here. Today, we're going to talk about AI. And as both of us know, we know what it's like to leave an appointment with so many questions, waiting months to see a specialist, spending hours trying to review test results, or even just wondering if you're experiencing a symptom, is that normal? And for many of us, that's where AI comes into the conversation. So today we're going to talk about how chronic illness is using AI not as a replacement for doctors, but as a tool to better understand their health, organizing years of medical information, preparing for appointments, and actually becoming a stronger advocate for ourselves. If you've ever found yourself opening up ChatGPT after an appointment because you still had questions, or if you wondered whether AI could actually help you navigate life with chronic illness, this episode is for you. So first, let's check in. It's been a while since I've seen you, Tina. How things going?
Yeah, good. It's recovering from my epic road trip all the way from Maryland to Anchorage, Alaska, and back, which
And that was
was
like a month-long trip, wasn't it?
yeah. We left on June 3rd and got home on July 1st. Yeah, it was quite the trip. And
Sounds amazing, though. How was Alaska?
yeah. It was beautiful. It was really hard. It was hard to come back. Like as we were coming further east, those temperatures started rising and we were back to getting, it's like 9:30, 10 o'clock, and it's starting to get dark out already. And we're like, what the heck is with this? We were used to basically having daylight almost, 21, 22 hours a day while we were out there.
Wow.
So it was hard to adjust but at least by driving, it was an easier adjustment, so.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, what an adventure that you can look back on and remember. I wish that I traveled more, but I'm glad you got to experience that.
Yeah, it does, it takes a lot out of you, though, too, so, yeah, I
Yeah.
felt like the first week home, all I did was every 2 hours, I'm laying down for a nap for a nap because your body's so go for so long, and then once you get home, you're like so it was like playing catch up for a while.
Yeah. I imagine. Well, today, I know this is not the day that we're putting out the episode, but I'm thinking a lot of you today, Tina. Do you know why?
Why?
Because today is Ed and I's 26th anniversary
I was just about to
today.
say, I looked at the date and I was like, wait a minute, this is your anniversary. Yep. And you
Yes.
still don't, you
Yes.
still aren't blaming 26 years later and you still don't blame me for that.
Sometimes I do. For those of you that aren't understanding this inside joke, Tina and I work together, and she's the one that introduced me to her brother, Ed, who's now my husband of 26 years. And so, yeah, when there's days where he's driving me nuts or anything, I'm like, damn it, Tina.
I
But
knew I should have said no about playing that co-ed softball team.
what made me decide to join a softball team? But no, today is we're gonna record this, and then I think we're gonna do something this weekend, but things are crazy. So, but today is a good day. So,
Good.
and I'm really excited to talk about AI because it's something that I know both of us have used and it's really helped me a lot. And so we'll talk a little bit about that. But why do you think so many people are using AI?
I think part of it is quicker accessibility, quicker answers, but also it's so integrated. Like even before, if you'd go on to Google or whatever your search engine is and you look something up, you go through this big long list of different articles, different links to check out, which you still do. But now that AI gives you that synopsis first, and then you can kind of take it from there, and I
Yeah.
know AI is a pretty controversial topic too of pros and cons on that. But yeah, I think, I've definitely used it, especially if you're an impatient like me, when you're waiting on those
Hmm.
test results or you're waiting on your doctor to call you back or something, then, but
Yeah. I think that for me and for a lot of people with like multiple chronic illnesses, it's really helpful when you're dealing with so many different parts and putting it all together because you've got your neurologist to handle my MS, I've got my gastroenterologist to handle my stomach and all of these different doctors. And it's been really helpful for me to be able to put it all together and try and get answers, and I've also used it quite a bit for test results because I don't know about you, but there's so many times, especially recently, I'm really struggling with this, is that I will have a high test result and my doctor's like, "Oh, everything looks great." And it's like, "Wait a second, why is this high?" And going into AI and saying, "Okay, doctor says it's all good. Why is this still showing high?" And it can kinda, let me know, "Okay, well, it can be high if this is low or if you're doing this or this, and based on your symptoms, it doesn't it's not a big deal." And so that's been something that's been really useful for me. Um,
giving you deeper insight versus
yeah.
yeah, yeah, I definitely have done that on a couple of my labs as well.
Yeah, yeah. I'm dealing with a lot of doctor issues right now with I've had muscle weakness for 8 years now. It's still undiagnosed. And I saw a new neurologist. Gosh, it's been about a year. And they did a bunch of metabolic tests and the tests were really high. And she said, "Oh, it's just because you didn't fast for the lab work." And so I went back and I did it fasting and they were even higher. And she's like, "Oh, it's just something you ate." And so I'm like, "Well, this doesn't really make sense because she's not even saying what I'm eating or she doesn't know what I'm eating." And so I've put that into AI and said, "Okay, is this something I need to be concerned about?" And it told me, these are some vitamins that can bring those down. And so I consulted with my primary physician and they put me on a bunch of vitamins and redid the testing. There's still quite a few of them that are still high. And so my neurologist has basically said, "Listen, I don't know what it is, but it's nothing to be concerned about." And so AI has kind of helped me realize there's still something there. And for some reason, she's not noticing it, but it's still on my radar. So it provides me with questions to ask and gives me kind of insight as to, yes, it could be this other medicine you're taking. Yes, it could be this. So it kind of calms down a little bit and gives me some other reasons where she was just saying, "It's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it." It comforted me a little bit to have some more information of what it could be and things that I could try, obviously, with my physician's recommendations.
Yeah, yeah. So you said something that just like that you said she told you that it was fine, or no, that she didn't know why it was off, but it was nothing to worry about. And I'm sitting here thinking, well, if it's off, but you don't know what it is, how do you know it's nothing to worry about? Yeah.
I believe me, I have been through the ringer with this doctor, and she basically has said, "I'm not gonna test you for anything else." And so she's given me the option to go to, like, the Mayo Clinic and that's something I might look into. Right now, I'm so overwhelmed and just you get to the point where you're tired of trying. You just need a
Yeah.
break from trying to figure everything out. But yeah, that's one of the things that really bothered me with this particular doctor is she would say, it's it's fine." And
Yeah.
and so I kept emailing her back and saying, "Can you tell me why it could still be high and it be okay?" And I actually ChatGPT gave me a script that I emailed to her and she came back and said, "Oh, it's just your diet. You're eating too much oils." And I'm like, "Oils? I don't eat," and so it was really frustrating. And so it kind of
Mhm.
helped me talk with her. Do you think that AI can help people become a better advocate? Because I feel like it has for me.
I do. I think so. Like you just gave the perfect example of how it helped you write a script with questions to ask, and it's I'm sure questions that you didn't think about. You didn't think
Yeah.
about them. I feel like it's a double-edged sword though, because I feel like doctors or those in the medical profession now with people utilizing AI and asking maybe more pointed questions because they have that tool now to help them know what questions to ask. almost like they dismiss you because now you're asking too many questions, versus, you know what, that's actually a really good question. And, that's, let me dig into that. I didn't think of that, or I'm not aware of that. It can be frustrating, and especially if it's something new, like some new techniques, new research out there that they may not have come across yet, and you point it out and they just dismiss it.
Yeah, yeah. I think you have to be, like you said, it's a double-edged sword. I think you have to be really careful. But I do feel like a lot of times going into a doctor's appointment is very overwhelming because you have limited time. And so it is a good resource to be able to say, this is the symptoms or this is what I'm struggling with right now. What are some questions that I can ask and really trying to be prepared for your appointment. But you bring up a good point about doctors and looking at it from their side as far as using that as a tool. Do you think that a lot of doctors use AI?
I think that probably the younger ones do. The ones that have been around for a long time may not utilize it as much, in my opinion. And it's, we had a situation with a doctor with my mom when she was in the hospital, and he's been in his specialty field for many, many, many years. He's on the older side, I don't know if necessarily like retirement age, but probably approaching that. And we have another younger doctor at a different practice managing her care now, and he didn't want to hear it. Oh, these young doctors, they think they know everything. They use the AI for their answers, and they just discount it. And they don't want to work with doctors that are utilizing, modern, more up to date data access.
Right, right. And you were talking about well, your sister, my sister-in-law is a nurse practitioner, and she uses AI.
Yeah. Yeah, I know the few times that I've been out there since she became a nurse practitioner at this clinic, there were times before they started utilizing AI for the charting, she'd be getting in from work 8, 9 o'clock at night, and her day starts at, I think she'd start seeing patients at 8:30. And it was just, they'd stop seeing patients at 5, but it would be 3 to 4 hours of charting after that. They started using an AI program to chart throughout the day as they see the patients. The AI will do the charting for them, and then it's just a matter of her having to review the charts at the end of the day to make sure everything is accurate. And so she's definitely shaved off 2, 3 hours a night of work. So my oncologist has done that too, where I'll be sitting there in her office. Usually after I exam, she'll call me into her office, to not so much anymore because I'm not really receiving any more treatments or anything, but when I was still in immunotherapy and stuff, would go in and we'd talk about my treatment, and she would just pause on our conversation and then record what she was saying. What she was saying. Was it AI? I'm not 100% sure if it was putting it right
Yeah.
into AI or if it was just more like old school dictaphone where somebody transcribes it later.
Yeah,
But
yeah. You wonder if, like I said, I don't know. I don't know if they have this capability, but it would be really nice to have like a medical AI where they can put in all the symptoms, all the test results, and it can kind of guide them, especially when you're looking at rare diseases or when you have multiple diagnoses of figuring out. I've run into a lot where they're like, the gastroenterologist saying, "Oh, it's just your MS," and the neurologist is saying, "Oh, it's just your stomach doing this." And to be able to put in multiple diagnoses, multiple symptoms, and to be able to aid the doctor in testing or all of that. But I don't know that they don't already have something like that. So
yeah.
I'm just kind of looking at it from my end and where, it's helped me. One of the other things that I know has helped me quite a bit is just research. I want to pause here for just a second. Do you ever think that if you just push through, you'll feel better? Yeah, me too. It doesn't work. So I made something for that. It's called Looks Fine, Feels Terrible, and it's a t shirt available at spoonfulofstrength.etsy.com or click the link in the show notes. Now let's get back to the show. and being able to research things. So if I come across an article about MS or a new drug, I can put that into AI. It can summarize it for me. Some of those articles, I think it's the ones from NIH, I just can't even read because they're
Mm,
so long and they don't make any sense. And so being able to kind of summarize that has been a useful tool for me as well.
yeah. Yeah. And that helps you be able to advocate for yourself more. If you're up to date on, if you know these research papers, which like you said are, unless you're a medical professional, you're not going to understand. It's like, what exactly are they trying to say? What was
Right.
the result of this? But being able to throw it through, ChatGPT or, another AI program and say, summarize this for the normal for a non-medical person. Um,
Yeah.
definitely will help give you the ability to go in and ask those questions and give you a little jumping off point.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so odd question here, but I feel like, and here I'm starting with not a question, but where I'm going with this is sometimes doctors aren't real good about communication or sometimes even that emotional support that we need. I wish that doctors were a little bit more sympathetic with what we're going through. And I have found that when I'm putting in my symptoms or, chatting with I almost feel like sometimes there's like an emotional support piece that they can help with, as far as frustration of being like, okay, these are the symptoms, they're not getting addressed. And it's like, okay, well, let's do this one thing at a time, let's process this through and talk it through, brainstorming ways of coping. Hey, I'm experiencing a lot of spasms at night. My doctor has prescribed me this, but it's not really helping. What are some natural things that I can do to help? And, sometimes it really validates for me the idea that I'm not dreaming this, that what I'm feeling is real. And it sounds crazy to think that it can provide emotional support, but sometimes it does, especially in a situation with chronic illness where a lot of us feel like we're not understood.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. You feel, I don't know, maybe not so. I guess because you have the ability to expand on what you're asking. Like I know, like even just general searches that I've been doing, I'll ask a question and it'll be like, well, generally this is all right, but if you give me more specific details, I can narrow down my answer. And you don't necessarily a lot of situations, you don't feel like you're getting that opportunity with your doctor. So,
Right.
definitely I can see where you're feeling it helps make you feel more heard, even if it is just an AI bot that's that's doing it. But
Right, right, right. Now we can't talk about all the wonderful things that ChatGPT can do without looking at the realistic side of where AI can go wrong sometimes. I think it's really important to understand that AI and your doctors, they're separate. It's AI kind of supporting what your doctors are doing. And what you don't want to do is go all in and think everything it's pulling out is facts. And so you kind of have to be careful with that. Sometimes with my recent situation with my blood work and all of that, I've got this long log of symptoms and questions and test results, and it can remember what I said, a month ago, and that's really useful. But it gave me some sort of a answer, and I was like, "Wait a second. Didn't we say earlier, didn't we talk about this particular test and how that test was fine?" And it was like, "Oh yeah, thanks for clarifying." And so it's difficult because you can use it as a tool, but you can't rely on it 100%. And that's the scary part, is finding that balance between this is going to give me all the magical answers and everything it says is absolutely true. It makes mistakes. And I've encountered that many times. And I think sometimes if you take what ChatGPT says and then do your own research outside of AI, that can be helpful too. But it's not 100% and can probably get you in trouble if you rely 100% on that. It's got to be more, I think, guidelines. Do
yeah,
you agree?
absolutely, absolutely. I do. similar, like exactly what you just mentioned, as if I'm looking up symptoms or I'm looking something up, I'll use AI as the jumping off point, and it may help me narrow down what should I be researching and digging deeper into, looking at into those, the research papers or the, clinical studies and things like that.
Yeah.
I know, like, some of the diagnostics, like reading your PET scans, your CT scans, your, other imaging is done by, a lot of places now are using AI to do that. Do you trust them? Or knowing that there's room for error, do you not?
Right.
Are you comfortable with that, or are you not comfortable with that?
Yeah, because I know that you for your PET scans, I'm sure there's a lot of anxiety and like you said, impatience when it comes to doing the PET scans and getting the results. Do you put those into AI or how do you because you get the results before the doctor, right?
I usually will see them. They don't have my reports locked down, so as soon as it's available in my portal, I can view my report. And my doctor, my oncologist has said, I don't have an problem with that because Dave used to give me a hard time about it, and he's like, "Why are you reading your report before Dr. Nimagata calls you?" And I was like, "Well, because she said that she's only going to reach out if there's a reason to reach out." So she wants me to read it, and I had to promise her that if I saw something in the report that I was worried about, that I would call versus stressing
Yeah.
out and worrying. And then there was one time after she told me that she actually did call at the end of the day to tell me everything was fine, and that, of course, gave me a little. I was like, "Why is she calling?" But
Yeah.
I can. There's usually I can always see the images right away. And then sometimes it may take up to 24 hours. If it's on a Friday, I might not be able to see the written report until Monday. And I'm impatient enough and I've had enough of it that I'll sit there and I'll look at all my images and I'll be like, "Oh, yep, 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 that looks normal." But if there's something that I'm like, was that there last time? And then I'm trying to dig in on the last ones. But now I'll just clip that image, throw it through AI and be like, does this look like a normal PET scan result? So I do kind of
Yeah.
am impatient enough at times to try to self-diagnose. And that's a dangerous thing too.
Yeah. Yeah. I can imagine that if AI said, "Oh, well, there looks to be something on this," and then get you all anxious and worried and then come to find out everything's great. And so
Yeah.
it's kinda like spinning a wheel, of
Yeah.
what are you gonna get or, is it 100%, positive that
Yeah.
everything that it says is gonna be true. I've used, like, X-rays and CT scans and the reports and copied the report and put it in and it's broken down, well, this just means you have a little bit of arthritis or this just means this and being able to break it down so that when I see that report and see something on it, normally I would be like, trying to Google what that word
What that
means
word is.
and it's a lot harder. Whereas now I can go, okay, well, then yes, everything's good. That's, normal for it to be a little bit like that. And so it is really helpful with that as well.
Now
Yeah.
I have seen when I have done that, they will also add a disclaimer on there and say,
Yeah.
it appears to be this way, but, it's not definitive until you hear from your doctor. So,
Yeah, yeah. And I think one of the things, as we're wrapping up here, I don't think we can make a show about how wonderful AI is without talking about some of the red flags and some of the things that you really need to be careful with. I know we kind of talked a little bit about that, but there are times where and I'm hoping that AI would let you know this, but where you really need to seek medical care first and not go to ChatGPT or Copilot. If you're experiencing chest pain or stroke symptoms, allergic reactions, things like that. And even, I don't know if you've seen on the news, but there's been stories of people using AI when they're having depression, anxiety, and even suicidal thoughts. And AI maybe doesn't say you need to call 911, you need to, get an ambulance or have somebody take you to the hospital. And so that's where, it's really tricky of knowing the things that you can't rely on, and you really need to know like the symptoms of things that you just skip that and take action on your own because that's scary.
Yeah. Yeah, and you touched on an important part of it is, the mental health. If you are severely depressed and feeling isolated and alone, for some, AI is that connection to
Mhm.
not feeling so alone. And
Yeah.
you've heard stories of, definitely some reports of, AI again, it's not foolproof, and sometimes, it
Yeah.
it could simply say one wrong thing, because it's AI. It's not a real person talking you through the current crisis that could be more triggering than helpful.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You really, I could see with, the anxiety, depression, things like that, of almost it being a friend and relying on that so much because you need to have that support. And but it's really scary when you rely on that for everything. And be very careful that it's not something that you're using instead of your doctors. It's meant to be used as a tool, and it has some great things that you can do with it. But you're right, it's a fine line.
Mhm. Yeah, it's an enhancement, not a substitute.
If you get information on, well, try this vitamin or try this or that, you always have to run it through your doctor and just make sure that it's not going to interact with one of the medications you're currently on. It's good to say, I bet I could try this. Let me check with my doctor and say, hey, I read something about magnesium and how that could help me. Is that something that you would suggest? And they're going to be able to tell you what dosage and how to take it and see whether or not that's going to be good in with all the other medical things and prescriptions that you're taking. So, yeah, I think that if there's one thing to come away with this episode, it's that use it as a tool, not a replacement. So,
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
well, thank you, Tina, for joining me again today. It's been a pleasure, and I always enjoy sitting down and chatting with my dear friend and sister. So thanks for joining
Yeah.
me today.
It was wonderful, wonderful to be on. Happy anniversary.
Thank you.
I can't believe it just doesn't seem like it's 26 years, but
Mm-mm.
yeah.
No, my baby is 20. I can't believe it.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's yeah, two are out of the house and one's still hanging on for me. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's been a wild ride.
Yeah.
Thanks to you.
Yep.
I want to thank Tina for joining me today for this conversation. As we wrap up the episode, I hope to leave you with this thought. AI doesn't have to replace your healthcare team to make a real difference. Sometimes its greatest value is helping you organize your thoughts, understand complex information, ask better questions, and feel a little less alone during a difficult season. At the same time, it's important to remember that AI is just one tool in your toolbox. It can make mistakes, it doesn't know your full medical story, and it should never replace the professional medical advice or delay you from seeking care when something feels serious or urgent. If you've been using AI as part of your chronic illness journey, I'd love to hear about your experience. What has helped? What hasn't? Let's keep this conversation going because we're all learning together. If you enjoyed today's episode, I'd be so grateful if you follow the show, leave a review, or share it with someone who could use it. Every share helps us reach another person that might need a little hope, a little information, or simply the reminder that they're not navigating this journey alone. I want to thank you for saving some spoons to be with me today. And remember to check out our episode coming this Friday for our 100th episode. Until next time, take care. Just a quick reminder, everything shared here is based on personal experiences. Please consult your doctor for your own care.